I don't want people to think I was lazy. I don't want people to think that I wasn't a good mother. All of those things that we think about. I'm saying it out loud on a podcast now. I don't want people, and I do think it's important. I want my parents to be proud of me, and I think they are.
It's Emily's turn this week. We're in the midst of our specials. It was me last week, it's Emily this week, and we are going to be exploring all aspects of her life, what she wants to achieve, and why. The balance between staying in, going out, and exploring her family entrepreneurial flair, and what that means to her. Before we get going, as usual, if you are enjoying our podcast, please either share it with a friend and also give it a like, a comment and a subscribe, because that will help our channel grow. Thank you very much. Have an amazing day. Let's get started. It's Emily's turn. It's absolutely Emily's turn. You've had my go. Actually, we've had Emily's Malawi, but this is Emily's more generic one, not just about Malawi.
Emily's generic
Well, at the second
one.
I said it, I realised generic was wrong.
We had the Malawi special, telling people about the trip to Malawi. This is about business.
Yeah, this is about, business life, isn't it? It's not, see, Emily, this is the podcast about life, not about business, honestly. These co-hosts are joking. Anyway, Emily, it's your turn, so we have to start at the very blimmin' beginning. What are you trying to achieve?
Health, happiness, adventure.
Right. Okay, so this is me. When I say tear it apart, you have to remember we're a husband and wife team, right? We probably talk a bit more freely with each other. So not tear it apart, but I think you want more from life than just that. I think there is this bit of you who genuinely wants to kind of, play with the chickens, bake bread and everything else. But I feel after a period of time, you may desire more. Or do you think that's it? Because if that is it, then we might just end this episode at 2 minutes in.
Yes, but no, but. So if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, probably... And that's not coinciding with the birth of Lydia Rose as the first child. But do you know what? It's been a couple of years with some quite big ups and downs. And going back to the health thing, we've had several losses of some very good friends of ours over the few years at the wrong age of passing away.
Yeah, agreed. And
actually, when I think about it, do I need to have the grand, big legacy? No. It'd be nice if it comes, but actually having my health and having the simple life is just as exciting for me, because we have it, we can control that, and I really like my chickens.
No, I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. I wouldn't. That's not what I'm saying. Oh, God, I really haven't got my words right. I know
I'm lying in the first
you're
5
not
minutes
lying,
of a podcast.
Vaguely lying, but I feel there is those extra levels. I think you'd sustain that for a while, and then it would go, okay, I want to get up. But you did say adventure. Your third one was adventure. And perhaps that's the bit I'm sort of...
And I'm not talking about climbing Mount Everest adventures.
Adventures need not be complicated.
They need not be complicated. But I do like the next adventure and the opportunities, which when we did the Malawi episode a couple of months ago, I think that came through a lot. I like the fact that I didn't know I was going at the beginning of the year to Malawi, and lo and behold, I was leading a team in September, and that was a magic adventure that I hadn't expected. And I grabbed that with two hands and really sort of went with it and enjoyed it. And I've always been like that since I was 12, probably, since I was at senior school. And I like being able to kind of see where the wind takes me, and I like saying yes a lot. And I've had some great opportunities over the last few years, massive opportunities. And I do think sometimes that has put me into a different camp to some of my peers from our childhood and stuff, because I've always kind of just gone, yep, that's for me. I remember being at secondary school.
Well, hold on. A lot of our peers are actually quite similar to us, having come up through scouting.
Yes. Yeah. But I remember always doing what I wanted to do rather than worrying about what my friends were doing. I was never one of those who kind of followed the crowd. I remember back in secondary school, every June, July, they would do like an enrichment kind of program at one week, and they would split the entire school into 3 groups, and one group would go to Bath for the day, and one would go to Salisbury, and one would go to, I don't know.
What, they went to Salisbury to be enriched?
Well, no, it would be a plan. So it would be like,
or Salisbury.
There'd be a theme to each sex, so you could do like a creative. There'd be a creative group, and they went to to the theatre, and they did this Salisbury, and it was about medieval times and all that kind of
So
stuff.
sorry, jumping in, and this is what I do. So apologies,
Have
everyone.
you even got to the point of my story?
Yeah, I was going to say your school was actually ahead of its time, really, wasn't it?
Sholing Girls' School, yeah.
Sholing Girls' School. Yeah.
But all of my friends in my core group of friends would always pick the thing they wanted to do together and would go. So they would all go to Bath.
Yeah.
And I'd be the one by myself for the entire week who would go and do the Salisbury trip with a bunch of people I didn't know at all. But I wasn't really bothered about the people. I wasn't bothered about what I wanted to learn or get out of it and do. And I think that was such a silly little example of that. But I've always just done what I wanted rather than being a bit
You have. You are. That is fair to say. I'm going to come back to that, but first of all, I just need to cover off Salisbury. I've goofed off on Salisbury because I grew up in Andover. For those who have no idea where we're talking about, feel free to power up your Maps app. But Salisbury actually has the Magna Carta there and is fascinating. So I'm goofing off. Genuinely quite interesting to visit.
It's a fascinating place.
It is. So let's go back to that kind of because. Right, hold on. There's two parts of this.
Alan's having to think of questions.
No, I am having to think today. So it's because I'm in. Yeah.
If you're listening to this later on in the year, we're recording this at Christmas. It's the day after Boxing
Yes.
Day, so Alan's a bit fuggish.
I'm struggling somewhat after 2 days of drinking when I don't normally drink, or that much anyway. So there's a couple of bits, right? So one of the bits I'm picking up on is your kind of, I'd be quite happy with the simple life.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here going, no, you wouldn't, or implying that. But actually, when we met, Emily was always quite happy kind of laying in bed watching Top Gun or a film. You were quite happy chilling like that.
Who wouldn't want to watch Top Gun?
Well,
it's the best
no,
film
I
on
agree.
Earth.
And I'm going, what a waste of time. So clearly that's one of those kind of differences between us that we...
No. I think you misunderstand that. I don't...
Well, by the way, I'm not suggesting...
No.
So now you're being defensive.
I am very protective of my... I'm a Cancerian, if you're into your stars. I quite like the time where I get to be quiet or relaxed or be at home or in that hygge lifestyle we've been talking about recently.
All about the hygge.
We've got a hygge book right now. It's all about the candles and the feeling mindful and sitting by a fire. But I enjoy that time. But that allows me to reset. And it allows me my brain to kind of go. So when I do go into adventure mode and we're doing whatever that is, whether we're going to Cuba or we're going to climb a mountain, whatever, I'm in for it. I'm there for it because I want to have that level of doing stuff. But that's where we're slightly different. I do need that reset.
Well, we are different, but I think I get my reset in a different way.
You go for a run.
Yeah, I can get my reset going for a run. Pardon me. So as long as I kind of have a little run here and there, I'm okay. But then the bit you were talking about is that need. Wow, I am struggling for words. That kind of doing something different, happy to do something different. So what's is the motivation for you to do what you want to do? And I'm okay, I don't mean this in a funny way, or do you want to be different to see where it goes? And I'm wording that way on purpose. Because like if you follow the crowd, all that happens is you follow the crowd, and for the sake of this, you what happens is the same as what happened to the person in front, right?
Yeah.
So hypothetically, obviously, because it's not quite that simple. Or if you go, actually, I want to take this part, and we're watching Onward with the kids this morning, the Disney film Onward. We believe it's the unsung hero of the Disney.
It's a brilliant film.
It's a brilliant film.
I mean,
right?
apart from the obvious tragedy in it, with the whole dad being dead.
But they're on a quest. They're on an
quest.
adventure. And he says, no, we have to take the less trodden path because that's where the kind of excitement will happen.
I said, and if anyone's listened to Trisha Lewis's podcast, I was a guest on.
I'll link to it.
I was on her episode a few weeks ago, actually, and it was all about the being unsquashed and how you felt about, and I'll cover a little bit of that because I think it's relevant to this. So I was very academic at school. I was deputy head girl. I was the very good stuck to the path of being a good child at school and being respectful and being quite academic and learning. And I got 12 GCSEs, which was kind of unheard of really in the 90s. That's quite a lot. And I don't know why they thought, but they were clearly they were a good school. I did that, and then there was kind of not an expectation, but it was kind of assumed that I would go into further education and then would go into university and do all of that kind of thing. And I struggled massively because although I was smart, I didn't really feel like I fitted in that crowd there. I didn't want to be, and I kind of almost self-sabotaged myself a little bit. I didn't do very well in my A-levels, even though I could have achieved them better.
What were your A levels in, out of curiosity?
French, German, communication
May
studies, and English.
Oh, nice.
But unfortunately, or not unfortunately for me, because it worked out well, I got an unconditional offer to university because they saw the light in me, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, so I couldn't even get out of that. So I went to university, and then I went into I went into a series of jobs, but I was civil service, and it kind of, that's what I did. You know, I had that high level education. I went into a more formal career, but I didn't.
I don't think that's fair on what you chose. Actually, I think you're doing yourself a disservice there. That's why I've interrupted, because you were civil servicey type roles, because but they were still in an outdoory, adventure-y element. You were forestry commission, right?
Yeah, previous to that, I was outdoor.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Outdoor ed, outdoor forestry. It's not like you were civil service desk jockey, so to speak. You were there helping other people in an adventurous element. That people and that adventure. Yeah. And adventure is a word we use. It's our brand word. That's why we use it so much. But that people and adventure element was there from your first employment. Regardless of your academia and your successful academia. So yeah.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed being able to be helpful and useful. So when I worked at the QE2 Activity Centre, so that was an activity centre in Southampton that was outdoor pursuits, outdoor education for children and adults with disabilities and learning difficulties. So I did that for many, many years, and it wasn't until I realised that I was being paid absolute peanuts, where I couldn't actually pay our rent at the time when I was in the early 20s. That went, maybe I have to kind of look for a different career at some point. But I always enjoyed that. When you talk about filling your cup, and we use that phrase a lot, it really did fill my cup. I woke up every single day and I was useful, and I was seeing progression and smiles and development of these amazing humans, and I went to bed happy every single day. Forest Commission, you're absolutely right. I was working, I had several roles within the Commission.
It's okay to play. I remember one of the projects.
I was responsible for several multi-million pound big lottery funded projects, and part of it was about empowering local communities who may not necessarily access their local woodlands and outdoor spaces for exercise, for play, for health and wellbeing opportunities. Some of that was larger scale events, some of it was just one-on-one, doing walking to health with elderly people. So yeah, it was always about helping other people achieve something. And then
there was the Tricia Lewis unsquashing part. I don't think we've got quite to that part of the story.
But when I was early on in kind of my university days and kind of trying to achieve, and I was in the public speaking, the irony being I was head of the public speaking team in
you say irony, that the only person that's ironic to is you. For the rest of us, we think you're a fab public speaker.
But I don't enjoy it. And I don't mind this because we're in our living, in our spare bedroom really, and you can't.
Whoa! We're not in our spare. We're in our podcasting studio and in our spare bedroom.
But I'm talking to you, but I can't see your faces, so it's all okay. When I'm standing in a crowd of 300, 400 people in an auditorium, that's quite scary for me. I don't particularly enjoy it. But I was making myself quite ill, and I really didn't enjoy that space, and I found it quite pressuring, whether I say that outwardly or not. I just didn't enjoy it. So when it came to starting the business with you, that kind of all got lifted a little bit, and I haven't felt like that since working in the business with you. Right,
so then hold on, I've got some more thoughts on this. So because you've said this to me in the past, and whenever you tell me this, I go, whatever, Ming, a McDonald's worker, because that's how we talk to each other, obviously, like a child, or I talk like a child. So you say this, but I've seen you stand up in front of a stage and deliver perfectly.
Yeah.
So, and we all know the feelings of anxiety and excitement are exactly the same. I'm not saying it's excitement. I'm not saying it's excitement, but I want to know if the pressure you were putting upon yourself was for different reasons. So was the pressure the public speaking in front of 300 or 400 people, and I've said this before, when I do a webinar that it should in theory directly affect our business, I get nervous because of what I want from the outcome from that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if your nerves, anxieties, whatever words we're using, were more from what you were being expected to deliver rather than actually the delivery element. Because you're fine at public speaking. Fine, you're great at public speaking. Sorry, great. You're fantastic at public speaking.
No, it's absolutely fine. And it's not about being fine or great at public speaking. It's about It's that enjoyment. It's that what makes me feel you thrive on a stage.
But I've still, yes, right, yes, fact, non-negotiable. But I still get nervous. I've still had anxieties.
I know
I've still got up on stage and gone, oh my God. And the only reason I'm now absolutely fine with it, because I did a Top Gun on it, which was don't think, just do.
I know, but your future aspirations, Alan.
I'd like to do more.
You'd like to do more. You'd like to be able to do a TED talk.
No, I have no desire to do a TED talk, but that could just be me being. This isn't about me, so stop saying that. I've never said I want to do a TED talk.
I'm saying how different we are in the fact that that is not my aspiration. If I could not have to stand on a stage ever again, I'd be quite happy.
I get that. Yes.
And it doesn't really matter the doing it to get the job done. I will get the job done. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And yes, that feeling of the stomach churning and right up there in my throat is always there. But this is not about my goal.
No. Well, it is. This is about you. Mine wasn't exactly. I don't think we shared anything about my back life story. It was all about what I want to achieve. We spent 40 minutes discussing exactly what I wanted to achieve, which we don't tell you. You need to go and listen to it. Right. There's still a couple of elements with you. So I agree that if you didn't stand up on stage again, you would be fine with that. But I don't agree that you'd be happy just sat here in front of a computer every day. I still feel you need more than that.
No, okay.
And I don't know and I'd like to try and work out where the line is. And there's another big thing I want to discuss with you as well. Ooh. It's exciting.
I've always liked the idea of being useful.
Like Thomas the Tank Engine.
I'm a really useful engine.
Really useful engine.
I do want to be a really useful engine. And I if I'm looking at my future aspirations, then I don't think I would be happy if I finished my life not necessarily living a legacy, because I don't think anyone needs to have. I don't need to be Shakespeare and have everyone think about.
Yeah,
the next
I agree.
years.
So there's a difference between leaving a legacy and having. I don't actually let us know what words we should be using here. So I don't disagree with you. I don't need to be David Beckham, but I like to think I've had impact. Is what I feel.
Impact's a great word.
Impact is what I think is a better word.
I think it's a waste of life if you've not managed to try and make your stamp. It could be a teeny tiny stamp, or it could be a huge blinking A4 piece of paper stamp. Doesn't really matter. But I don't think I would be happy if I'd not made some sort of impact or lasting thing on someone else that have gone, actually, it was good that she was in this world. And whether that's being helpful, being useful, having encouraged other people to show up a bit more, whether it's been helping teach archery at the QE2 Centre for people who may not have had that opportunity otherwise, be it helping those small children and adults in the woodlands. And that was my project. That was my opportunity to kind of shape, mould, develop that as much as I could. And I felt useful. And I'm happy that in Yellow Tuxedo, in this current job, because we've had obviously many jobs together in business, this current one, whether it's teaching someone how to do SEO or not, I don't really care. But I feel I like.
Whoa.
I like helping. I like seeing other people's face where they've gone, oh, thankfully, Emily has helped me to do this, and I can move on with whatever I'm doing. And I like that feeling of being helpful and useful.
No, I get that. So I think that's the thing. So yes, you putting words in your mouth. I get it, the chickens. I get the bacon.
Really love the chickens.
I get
and the
all
bacon.
that. But where's the usefulness? Where would the usefulness come in that equation then?
Well, okay. So the chickens are selfish for me, and my bread baking. And so at the moment, I'm reading Nancy Birtwhistle's series of books about more green, healthy, sustainable living. And something that really is important to me. A, because I think we all should be doing our little bit to change the world for the better. B, it gives me that time to hyper focus on something that's not work, Alan, family, kids. It's my time to focus on that. But what I'm doing there is being useful in the fact that I'm teaching the kids different ways in which they can live their life later.
No, I agree with that. I'm fully on board with that. And I think one of the other things we've talked about a lot is we don't actually desire a large house, so to speak. But
Too much to clean.
Too much to clean. Oh, I can't stand cleaning. I am never going to lay on my deathbed going, I'm so pleased I cleaned the toilet. It's just never going to happen, right? It's never going to happen.
But I wish you would clean the toilet.
I wish you'd clean the toilet as well, but that's another story. That's a podcast episode in itself. Life, like what should we have for dinner, and have you cleaned the loo recently? Something like that. Could be a special. Anyway, what was I saying?
I have no idea. It's your interview.
Oh my goodness. Right, let's scrap that because I think I was on an hour waffle. Let's go back. Right, the other thing. So when we've been doing all these interviews on Digital Circus Life, the small business podcast, one of the things that screamed out to me is the people we've spoken to, the guests we've chatted to from the Digital Circus, whose parents were already in their own businesses.
Yeah.
Right. So we've had quite a few who just running their own business was normal for them. Okay. And it wasn't normal for me. It absolutely wasn't, but it was normal for you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that kind of entrepreneurial flair in your family. So, tell us a bit about the back catalogue, because, your pop, your granddad's was quite interesting. And then how... talk us through all of that, and then, towards you running your own businesses.
Yeah, and I never thought I would be running my own business, our own business. But then when we talked this through, and we unpicked a few episodes ago as well, it was kind of almost inevitable, really. And I do put that down to my pop Brewster, my mum's dad, who sadly passed away about 10 years ago when I was pregnant with Lydia Rose.
Was it really 10 years?
Yeah, I was pregnant with Lydia
I'd have
Rose.
guessed 5, I reckon.
No, and it's a real shame because we have made our business what it is in the last decade, and he's missed out on seeing that. So it's quite a shame, because I would love to share, because he is probably my biggest role model in how to be an entrepreneur. And I know, but so my pop Bruce, my grandfather, he was a serial entrepreneur. He was a master printer. He set up several series of businesses. He had news agents, he had bakeries, he had butchers, and he settled on a family business back in the late 70s, early 80s called Nurseryland. It was a family business that sold cots, prams, pushchairs, that kind of stuff. And we had... So we had 3 shops. We had one in Farnborough, one in Farnham, and one in Southampton.
How old are you, 6?
Well, I was on the books.
Yeah, I know.
I was on the books.
That's a tax dodge, Emily.
My uncle, my grandfather, and mum and dad all had part of one of the shops to look after. So I grew up every weekend. So mum and dad were both in the business together. Back in East Street Shopping Centre when it was there. It's now housing
in
estate.
Southampton.
It's not there anymore.
No, but it was in Southampton. I was just giving a location.
And I would spend every Saturday with my brother up in the stock room, being quiet, watching something from Shoning Video that we'd got on the way in, and sat. It was. So I saw mum and dad grafting every single day of the week. To try and build the business out, which was my grandfather's empire, really. It didn't last, unfortunately, because of the way that progression happened in Southampton's development. Everything moved towards West Quay, so kind of it moved further out towards the port, and Motherman's and Harper's and Mothercare kind of came in, and the small independent businesses kind of just went by the wayside. So we closed the business. My dad went in to become a policeman, and my mum went to work for Marks and Spencer's as a visual merchandiser. So I've seen, although they are retired now and they worked in different careers after that, as a child, I saw how you build a business. I saw there's blood, sweat and tears. I saw, we didn't always have the most lavish... I say we didn't have the most lavish.
Emily, you had way more lavish. How many times did you go to Disney World as a child?
Yeah, okay.
Twice. Twice.
And then third as a teenager.
Right, okay. How many times have I been?
No, it was different. We had some really amazing experiences, but I saw...
It wasn't lavish, but we went to Florida multiple times.
Let me get that out, that sounds really, really poor. We would bust a gut throughout the year, and then mum and dad would work really bloody hard to allow us to have opportunities like that. Peppercorn throughout what we would... Don't do that.
No, I'm being.
So anyway, the business closed. So I saw what it is to close. You
have to enjoy the spoils of your labour.
My grandfather died at the age of 80 due to a heart attack, and he was working in his mid-70s because of various things that had happened with the businesses, and he carried on working. And regardless if that was a financial thing or it was because he just... I think that was the latter. I think he really enjoyed working. I think he really enjoyed building businesses, and I think I get that from him. And like I said, he was quite a showman. He was quite a gregarious character. He's much like you. Am
I a grandfather figure for you?
He's my grandfather. But he was also, and I think he'd be really proud. And when we talk about adventures, going back to that, he wrote a book for his 80th birthday. He wrote his memoirs and gave... I don't think we've got a copy down there. No, it's not down there. He wrote his memoirs and gave a copy to each of his grandchildren, and it was talk about the fact that one day he just got out of bed, got on his pedal bike, and he cycle to Paris. He talked about all these little things that he did that were completely off the cuff, but they were tiny adventures, but were incredible adventures. And I think that's a way to live your life, is to just where the wind takes you, just grab those opportunities and do it. And that's what he did so well.
Okay, so you said something in that. I think that, I think that's a fab story. And I think the interesting part about normal behavior is it's normal. So how do you, it's like me last time saying, well, it just is. I can't really explain it because it just is, it's like you and running your own business is just normal behavior because it wasn't for me. And we've always said that. I'm going to come back to my question in a minute. We've always said that, like, I'm the kind of faffer, slower overthinker, for those who may think, and Emily's the bit more faster reactor, and we basically balance each other out and hopefully then make more quality decisions is how we word it. One of the bits you said there that I'm keen to explore is you said, I think he would be really proud of what I did. Now this is is that important to you?
Or people being proud of me? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it can ask, what could you? And I'm not saying it's wrong because that's not for me to say. But I don't know what to ask. Like, what about what's inside? Are you proud of yourself?
Oh yeah, I am proud of myself. I am, and if I was to put on paper all the things that I've managed to achieve, I've done some quite big things over the years that I sometimes take for granted, like. Because
it's our life, your life,
yeah,
our life.
And
we do take it for granted.
Sometimes I laugh because I'm probably more of a maximizer like you than I give myself credit for. Well, I went.
So you're as pernickety as I am.
No, but you've got to think. So I went to Malawi for the first time in 2009, not with the Women's Partnership Group. I went to Malawi with the Scouts in 2009. And that was a sum of money that needed to go for that particular trip. We had to fundraise for it. And I put a case to apply for a Winston Churchill Memorial Trust grant, and there was no chance on earth I was going to get that, but I did, and that ended up going to London to get a medal from Camilla Parker Bowles to go, well done for everything you've achieved.
It was cool.
Your services to scouting, and I was like, and so those kind of things seem to have happened multiple times. I mean, and I'm not kind of sugarcoating it.
So funnily enough, I've spoken to Jackie Goddard about this, and I said stuff. I've said to Jackie things like that happen, and she said, "Well, it's because you're open to it." So someone listening will be able to explain more about that. But surely that's a case of, I don't know if that's. I'm being me now. I wouldn't say that was the maximizer. I think that's a case of when you were at school and the crowd were going to Bath and you chose Salisbury. It's because, I don't know why, but it's that, well, hold on, I want to see what happens. We live by to be different, you need to be different.
Absolutely.
And that's not about being overtly gregariously different. That's about just choosing the less trodden path.
It is the less trodden path.
To see what will happen, and I think, I don't know where that comes from or what is, but I think that is something both of us have.
Absolutely is.
Because I remember, it's not about me, obviously, but I remember talking to my dad about being self-employed when I was about 18, going, Dad, that seems like the right thing to do. And he went, yeah, but you'll never be able to take any time off work. You'll always be working. And delivered that in a kind of questionable way to me. And I went, he's got a point. And at the time, I was in the midst of scouting and I wanted to go away every weekend. I was caving, climbing, walking, mountaineering and camping. So I went, yeah, he's got a point. But actually reach a point where it is all into your life.
It's all in, but it's also loads of hard graft, and that's what I do. And I think at all the points of my life, from young teenager through to that, silly things like getting my deputy head prefect thing, which is not a big thing at all, but you had to work. You had to work hard. You had to try and play the game properly. You had to try and be a good person. You had to try and put yourself above the parapet. And I did that, and every last thing that I've done over the years like that has resulted in a positive action. But it's not luck. It's not just, oh, they're good people, that happens to them. It's what people don't see behind the scenes is the those feet going under all the time. And whether it's with business right now, I'm trying to make sure that the business and what we teach is the best it can possibly be. So therefore, something new comes out into the world, I don't know, ChatGPT or insert any social media platform that is brand new to people.
Threads.
I will spend ages literally reading as much literature, doing as many courses, kind of really making sure that I can maximise that opportunity. And then it comes like, oh, you know everything. No, I don't. I've had to spend evenings and evenings and days and spending time learning and grafting behind the scenes. And I do that with everything I do.
Well, you do. That's a fact. You are unbelievable at that researching, to the extent I'll go, Emily, you're always on your phone, and then it's like, well, actually I'm doing this, and it's like, yeah, you aren't just chatting. But where does that come from then? So I think there's a couple of points on that. So there is the kind of maximizer point, there's the academia point, but there's also the kind of wanting to kind of almost validate knowledge and everything else. What is it? Just actually you're just curious and
I'm
you
just
want to know?
curious. I started, so I do have another qualification under my belt, which is level 3 sign language, BSL. I know. I'm going to keep them in.
I have no qualification. No, I'm a summer mountain leader. That's it.
I have the layers and layers and layers of things that I could probably put on my CV that I haven't put on my CV, of things that probably don't have any direct bearing on our current career path, life journey. But I could have
they do. I think that's the point.
I started to learn BSL level 1 because everyone likes to do their alphabet, That's fine. And then I got to that point going, but I need to know more. I need to do more. I can't just stop there. So I carried on as far as I could go without going to degree level. And because we didn't have the time, money or inclination. Can I just stop the podcast for 1 second?
We won't stop it. We'll keep this in.
There is a child at the door knocking. Hello, child.
Enter.
We
were it's got to be Joseph. The other two would be on the sofa.
Joseph, darling, we're just recording a little podcast. Can you give us 5 minutes? Thank you, darling.
All right, bud. We'll be down in a second, all right?
Can I wait out for the door?
Yes.
You can wait. Just sit down there then, buddy. Put your headphones on.
And this is the kind of stuff that actually, do you know what? I love this. This is kind of why I love our so non-polished, just trying to achieve what we want to achieve and embracing the fact that we have little people like that who want to get involved every single day. And for many people who might want to cancel this bit right now on the podcast, I want Joseph to see what we're doing. Actually, I think it's important that they see.
No, I think it is. I think, and it comes back to that adventure element as well, isn't it? It is all part of the element, the adventure. Yes, Joseph, we can hear you as well, buddy. Zip it, Shrimpy. We're talking. Right. However, Joseph coming in has massively made me lose my train of thought.
Right. It was my going past the level of what was I just could do for BSL. So I went to level. I didn't want to go and do degrees, but I wanted to do it. I really wanted to because my brain just, for someone who doesn't want to be seen as academic, I have this need to learn as much as I can in whatever we're doing at that time. I have to absorb as much information as possible.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that does you are really
then it bites me in the bum when it comes to us doing products and services with what we deliver. Is that you're going, keep it simple, Emily. You don't need to give as much.
Well, actually, this is where we swap positions, isn't it?
And I want to go, no, I want to make sure that it's the best it can be. I want to be as factually accurate as can be, and I want to make it as good as it can possibly be for absorption from our clients. And I think actually I put too much pressure on ourselves that way because I'm like, it's not right. And Anna's like, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Let's roll with it.
So this isn't about me, but I think this is important. But that was a learning for me. So my kind of maximizer can be perfectionist. Like, I'm not a perfectionist. But so I've had to learn that done is better than perfect. Was it done is better than perfect?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So just get it out and adjust it.
I want it to be perfect.
You want it to be perfect. And I'm like, no, just let's put it out and adjust it because it's much better to start. So once again, that's that we are not polar extremes, but we are different on many different things and kind of balance it out. Obviously, we don't argue much about it. Actually, we don't argue that much. We've discussed that quite a lot. We bicker, but we've always said, because we have an aligned goal, we were talking about this with Tracy and Ian Earle on their podcast that's coming out soon. Because we have an aligned goal, it's actually much simpler to end arguments because you go, is that achieving the goal? No. Is it whose zone of genius is it? Yours or mine? So we don't have clearly defined roles, but we do understand what we're better at and what we're trying to achieve. And therefore, arguments can end quite quickly sometimes. They don't last days like they
No, I'm
used
just waiting for
to.
you to ask me another question.
Ask you another question. So, okay, I thought it was relevant. Apologies, Emily. Let's slowly begin to wrap up then. Let's go with the ending question, right? So if you went back to your younger self, you did mention money at the beginning, so I'm interested about this one. If you went back to your younger self and said something to them, arm around the shoulder, normal question, standard question, regular question, what would you say to your younger self?
Marry Gerard Butler.
Would you actually? He's not got a patch on me, has he?
I don't know.
Yeah, but hold on. Right. Gerard Butler in your head is what you see on TV. I appreciate that's a facetious answer, but Gerard Butler, he's not been in your house 24/7 with you. I'm sure he has some elements that would not be that endearing.
No. I've got two things I could have said to myself. I'm trying to work out which one's more important. One, be less hard on yourself. And don't care about what other people think of you. And the other one's probably keep your mouth shut occasionally.
Well, that's a podcast episode in itself. We'll save that one for if you want to hear about Emily's keep your mouth shut occasionally, let us know, and perhaps we will deep dive that one. Perhaps we will get some kind of psychologist on to deep dive that with you. But I have my own version of that. We talked about that on my episode. Right. Okay. So what was the first one? Keep your mouth shut was the second one. Don't be so hard.
Don't be so hard on myself.
So are you hard on yourself? Because I don't see
Always.
that.
I am, but just because I don't show it outwardly.
And you also said don't care that much about what other people think.
Oh, that's massive. And
I think you do. Can I say this?
Yeah.
You deep dive. You went somewhere on mine I wasn't quite ready for. You dissed my family.
I did not diss your family.
She dissed my family. She dissed my upbringing. Anyway, I think you do care way too much
Massively.
about what other people think, and that kind of. And sometimes I feel. Oh my goodness, we're going there. Sometimes
You're going there.
I feel that manifests itself in a desire for shiny objects at times, in a kind of
What with my shiny objects? I asked for a bread basket for Christmas.
Yeah, you got a bread basket.
A proving basket.
All right. Well, there's my thoughts, and I thought I'd ask as we're in this safe zone.
I don't
You
desire
can't punch
shiny
me.
object syndrome. I haven't bought myself a brand new pair of clothing in over a year. I didn't ask for any big bells and whistles for Christmas.
No, I'm not. Yeah, okay.
We don't go on lavish holidays all the time.
We just went to Disneyland Paris, darling, and we went to Spain for a month.
A year ago, and we
don't have a lot of holidays.
We don't have a
that's
lot
fair
of
to say.
holidays. I don't go out drinking every single night. We don't go into
Yeah,
lavish
okay, so
parties.
fine.
I
So-
have no wish to have shiny object syndromes. I don't know.
Do you know what I actually think? I think both of us would have more shiny objects, but 10 years of entrepreneurial journey and the life challenges we've had.
10
within
years
it.
of entrepreneurial poorness.
Well, I was trying to, because some business coach is going to go 10 years and they've not made it yet. So I'm like, I was trying to mitigate that and in my defensive manner.
I wouldn't change it for the world, though. But
No, I wouldn't change it. We've had fun with the kids. That's kind of been the main point,
Yeah.
isn't it? We've always said once they're a bit more self-established, then we'll go in full guns blazing. Right. Sorry. What was the question?
What's about shiny object syndrome?
No. Yeah, I did say that.
People pleasing.
What other people think.
I do care. I do, because I suppose that comes back around to my impact, I suppose, on when I'm no longer here, at whatever time of my life that will be. I want people to think fondly of me. I don't want them to think, oh, she was an absolute witch or anything like that. And I don't want people to think, thanks. I don't want people to think I was lazy. I don't want people to think that I wasn't a good mother. All of those things that we think about. I'm saying it out loud on a podcast now. I don't want people, and I do think it's important. I want my parents to be proud of me, and I think they are. I want people to think I'm a good human.
They won't listen to this, so you never know.
Well, Dad might.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it is inbuilt in me, and I know it doesn't matter what people think of me, but I would be horrified to think people thought I was a bad person.
Are you a bad person?
No.
So what difference does it make what they think then?
Because I don't want people to think I'm a bad person.
Okay.
Don't.
Well, you know what's interesting is, and literally, because we live in this small business entrepreneurial world, and so therefore a lot of the content we consume is from people, who are sharing their thoughts on business and entrepreneurial. The first thing they all say is, don't care what anyone else thinks.
I know, and it's all very well saying that, but
just flick that switch.
Flick that switch.
I know it's not
because
that simple.
ultimately we're all human, and it's all very well saying the things. That bugs me. And actually, my resolution for 2024 is to stop reading. And that sounds really stupid because you should be always learning, right? And I am always learning. But these thought leader people with their "you should be doing that," I'm not going to read any of it. I'm just going to tread my own path this year. I don't want to, because it just actually goes. It's all very well on paper saying do this, do that from your nice mansion in.
Well, that's really interesting because we've not discussed this, but I've also decided the vast majority must be wrong. Not wrong, it worked for them.
I just don't want to read it anymore.
Yeah.
And which is kind of, again, counterproductive when A, you should be learning all the time, and B, try to put stuff out there into the world and with your business and stuff. Just don't do any of that wanky
Well,
stuff.
we've always been like your business on your terms, you know.
Yeah.
It's funnily enough. Can I just share? I'm reading Ilma, the MailerLite, one of the MailerLite founders' books at the moment, and hers. It's very different. It's one of those, this is what I did and it worked for me. And that's how she's written the book. And actually it's fascinating just following that adventure, and then you can pick the bits out that you want.
That's a massive change of how you word that then, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
about, it worked for me. This I can't talk about
Follow my adventure.
Yeah, follow my adventure rather than going do this, do that, because that's going to happen for you. Because when it doesn't happen for you in that particular way, you get really despondent. So that's why I'm going to carry on reading.
Do Instagram Reels, you'll make 10 million. No, whatever.
And that's always been our approach with Yellow Tuxedo, isn't it? It's like we're not going to tell you what to do, but we're going to give you the tools. If you choose to do X, Y, or Z, we have the tools to help you achieve those things.
Because we want to be useful people.
Because we want to be useful
on
people.
an adventure.
But for my reading pleasure this year, I'm going to stick to Nancy Birtwistle and learn how to make a eco-friendly cream cleaner for the sink. Because that makes me happy, and I don't have to think about anything else apart from that.
Right. I think we will end there.
Okay, on Nancy Birtwistle.
Well, no, because I think that's a really good ending. It's like, do you know what? I'm just going to work on what I can affect, which is what's in my home and my life. And I think that's rather than going, we're going to make £1 billion this week. No, I'm going to work on what I can directly.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And if we do, fantastic. But just kind of ending on what your kind of main takeaway.
It's not about me.
Your main takeaway from your episode. Your episode was titled "If I Died, I'd Be Happy."
Yeah.
And I think I would be too. But ultimately, regardless of the daily struggle of making the business work or hitting those financial goals, ultimately, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and we have adventures. And as long as I can
Have I got to try and get a title from that?
On that note, I think we should probably give the child in the corner some attention who's sitting
Hi,
there.
Joseph. Hello. Right. Thank you all so much for listening. Digital Circus Live, the Small Business Podcast. Have a fab day always. Remember, adventures need not be complicated.